Free Reading and Writing Tools for Students, iOS and Android Edition. Hi, I'm Dan Dyer, and I'm going to talk to you briefly today about some popular and free tools that you can use on your iPads, iPhones, as well as your Android phones and Android tablets at home. But first, let me tell you who Idaho SESTA is. That's who I'm with, and they are a collaborative group between the University of Idaho, Boise State University, and it's funded through the Idaho State Department of Education. So just some quick notes before we get started. Everything again in this presentation is free and easy to use, and a lot of this stuff is going to be able to run on your old phones or tablets. Most of the tools I'm going to discuss will work offline, which means no internet is required for most of these tools. And if you are one of those people who doesn't have access to the internet, I went ahead and just made a quick list of all the tools in this presentation that work without the internet. So here's what we're going to talk about today. And these points can be broken down into three broad categories. Basically, we're going to show you how to get your device to read text out loud, how to get your device to convert your speech into text, and also some related reading and writing supports that are free and easy to use. So without any further ado, let's jump right into this. Okay, so let's start with some tools to get text read aloud to you by your device. And let's start out with iOS. So we're going to be talking about the iPhone or the iPad right now. And I've got my iPad screen here. And to turn on some text reading functionality, what you would do is go to your Settings app, go down to Accessibility, and then to Spoken Content. Now in Spoken Content, you're going to want to make sure that your Speak selection is turned on, your Speak screen is turned on, and then your highlighting is turned on. And then you can turn the speech controller on as well. So now that you've got all that turned on, you can do some kind of neat stuff. So let me go to an app that has some text in it. So here's my Note app, and I've got some text. So if I want this text read aloud, I can have this read aloud in a variety of ways. The easiest way is just to tap on a word, highlight it, and then you'll see a little speech menu pop up. And if you see right here, it'll say Speak, and if I tap on that,
Disabilities.
So that'll read anything that I select, and I can select an entire sentence or a paragraph or multiple words, and it'll go ahead and read that aloud.
Disabilities that limit the ability to perform ADLs.
The other option that I have now is if I want just the entire block of text read aloud, I can go to my screen reader, which is this little floating menu here. And this little floating menu is just going to be there no matter what I do. So if I go to my home screen or if I go to different apps, that floating window is always going to be available. So let me go back to Notes, and now say I want this entire note read to me. I can open up my floating window and click play.
Assistive technology that is assistive, adaptive, and rehabilitative device.
And it will just go ahead and read everything that it sees on the screen. You can also do by tap. So if I click on this little finger, now it is just going to read anything that I tap on.
Note, assistive technology that is assistive.
So that's the built-in ways that you can do text-to-speech on your iPad. There's a third-party plugin that is kind of interesting as well. So if you wanted to download this plugin, it's called Read and Write, and it's free. This only works on the web, but if you go to a website and you click Share, you'll see that there's a Read and Write. And if you click on that, it's going to give you a pop-up window. And this is going to be really similar to the built-in tool. It works a little bit better, I think, for tapping to select on stuff. So now, anywhere that I tap, it's going to read aloud to me.
According to the Occupational Therapy Practice Framework, assistive technology is something that is used.
So again, anywhere that I tap, it's just reading that aloud. And I like it because it has that highlighting feature as well. So on the internet, I think this third-party app called Read and Write works a little bit better than the built-in one that's on the iPad. But again, these are both free, fairly easy to use, and you can get started right away with using them, especially this one that's built into the iPad. So now let's talk about some tools for the Android. And the Android has similar features built into it like I showed you on the iPad. The first one is called Select to Speak, and this is an accessibility feature that'll read text back to you on your Android screen. So this would work for your Android phones, or if you're one of the people that has an Android tablet, this would work on that as well. So here's my Android setting menu, and if you scroll down, you will see Accessibility. Click on that. For this demonstration, I'm going to be showing you Select to Speak, which is under Screen Readers. Now if I turn that on, what's going to happen is now it's going to enable this little fella that you see on the bottom right of the screen. And if I tap him once, then I can turn on my screen reader. And so now anywhere that I tap on the screen, it's going to start reading back from that specific moment.
When Select to Speak is on, you can tap specific items on your screen to hear them read aloud.
Okay, great. And here's a newer feature from Google. It's called Read It, and this is mainly used for reading aloud web pages. So if you're on a website that has a bunch of text, you can actually have that text read aloud to you by using your Google Assistant. And here's a quick video on how to do that.
Hey Google, read it.
Okay.
Today, we're announcing Read It, a new experience on Android that allows people to listen to web articles with the help of Google Assistant.
Read it, a new feature that will allow people to listen to web pages using text-to-speech. It means that we can read long texts in a more natural sounding voice. We built Read It to be very easy to use. You just open a web page. It can be in Chrome or in the Google app or in Google News app, and you say, hey Google, read it. And that's it. Google will start reading out the page within a few seconds. Read It is available in 42 languages, which allows you to translate a web page into your language before you actually listen to it. So it allows users to listen to pages in a different language.
So now let's talk about ways that you can actually take a picture of a printed sheet of paper and have your device read that text aloud. For iOS, so for Apple products like iPhone or iPad, there's an app called Seeing AI that works fairly well, and here's a quick video about it.
The app narrates the world around you by turning the visual world into an audible experience. Point your phone's camera, select a channel, and hear a description. The app recognizes saved friends.
Jenny near top right, 3 feet away.
Describes the people around you, including their emotions.
28-year-old female wearing glasses looking happy.
It reads text out loud as it comes into view, like on an envelope.
Ken Lawrence, P.O. Box.
Or a room entrance.
Conference 2005.
Or scan and read documents like books and letters. The app will guide you and recognize the text with its formatting.
Top and left edge is not visible. Hold steady. Lease agreement.
Great, now if you're running an Android phone or an Android tablet, there's a tool called Claro Scan Pen. So here's the Claro Scan Pen app. And what it does is when you open it up, it'll launch your camera, and then you can snap a picture of your sheet of paper. So now that I have my image, all I have to do is tap anywhere and it should start reading from that sentence.
This morning we will be reviewing our 3-year journey to fulfill our collective dream of district. The totality of this information.
And I can just jump around as needed.
T began with an understanding the literature and review of multi-agency state-level data.
Or I can even drag my finger over multiple lines of text and it'll read those specific lines of text to me.
District. The totality of this information.
So if I wanted everything read, I could do that.
This morning we will be reviewing our
Or if I just wanted a specific sentence.
data and our next steps.
Great, so those are 2 ways to do that feature where you can take a picture of a sheet of paper and have it read aloud to the student. The third way, which is shown on the screen, called Office Lens/Immersive Reader, is actually a little bit more powerful and can do some other things. So let me skip to my next slide and I'll discuss it on the next slide. So what if the student has difficulty with writing? Well, what you can do is snap a picture of their writing worksheet, import it into one of these devices, and then have them add their text to it. And the advantages of that is that they can actually type. So if they struggle with legibility in their handwriting, being able to type can be useful. And they could also use features like word prediction or speech recognition to assist their writing as well. And here's a video about SnapType.
So while I was in school for occupational therapy, I met a little boy during my fieldwork, and he had dysgraphia, which is a handwriting disability, where he can't really read his own handwriting and his handwriting is really messy. I hate homework! So I was thinking, how can I think of something to help this child? So what I thought about was, why not just take a picture of the worksheet that the teacher passed out to him, and then he can just directly type on the screen. That's what SnapType does, and there wasn't anything out there that really did what I wanted it to. I had originally made this for this one child, and after knowing that it helped him so much, I thought there has to be other children out there just like him. This is fun! It's a very intuitive app, so I feel like you can get on it and you can figure out how to use it very quickly, which is really important with kids because if it's so complex, they're not going to be able to use it. I just pull out my phone and be like, oh, I'll show you how to use it. So, or I let them try to use it and then they realize how easy it is.
Now another tool that's useful is called Office Lens, and this is a product by Microsoft. With Office Lens, you can snap a picture of printed text. It'll take that text, and then what you can do is you can add your writing to it if you'd like to. Say that this was a worksheet and I needed to fill in some sentences, I could go ahead and input my writing. And again, I can use my word prediction here on this row, or I could even use my speech recognition if I needed to go ahead and drop that in there using this microphone button. And then I can move that around, put it to where it would need to be on the screen. I can, change the color contrast, do a whole bunch of stuff. I can even scribble on this guy if I want to. So say it was like a multiple choice, I could circle the ones that were correct. So the other very useful thing that you can do with this Office Lens app from Microsoft is actually have the text read aloud in the document that you scan. So I can click to share to Immersive Reader. It will take that image, extract the text, and just show you only the text. And then it can have that text read aloud to you.
This morning we will be reviewing our 3-year journey to fulfill our collective dream of providing.
And you can change the text spacing, change how big the letters are, as well as change the voice rate. So Office Lens is really powerful because you can take a picture of a sheet of paper, extract the text, have the text read aloud to the student, and then the student can go back in and input their writing to answer the worksheet questions or draw onto it. So those are a couple options to digitize your worksheet and add your writing to them. Now let's talk about speech to text. So speech to text is built into both the iOS and the Android operating system. And you can do this by using voice typing as well as your smart assistant. So just as a quick example, here's me doing voice typing on my iPad. You open up your keyboard and you'll see a dictation button next to the spacebar. I would tap on that. Hi, my name is Dan, period. This is a test of using the speech recognition on an iPad, period. So that's an example of using speech recognition on an iPad. You can do a similar feature on Android as well. The other thing that you can do is use like Siri or your Android voice assistant and ask it to take a note for you. So here's an example of me doing that with Siri. Take a note.
What do you want it to say?
This is an example of using a voice assistant to take a note for you.
Okay, I created a note. This is an example of using a voice assistant to take a note for you.
And it will go ahead and save that into your notes for you. So a few different ways to do voice typing. And again, just like most of the tools that I'm showing you, you can actually do this speech to text feature completely offline. You don't even need internet these days to do this. So word prediction is another great tool that can help kids with spelling issues, writing issues, those kids that just fatigue really easily. Word prediction can be useful because it cuts down on the amount of keys they have to press. And there's a lot of different ways to do word prediction. It's just like on your cell phone when you text somebody and you type the first letter or two and the app already knows what you're trying to write. It's the same principle. So like for example, here's my iPad, and if I type the letter T, it's going to pop up with my prediction list, and then I can just tap on the letters at the top to drop in the words that I want. What you can actually do, though, is get a better app for word prediction that's going to give you more flexibility. So there's an app called ClaroSpeak that's free. Let me open that up on my iPad here. So here's ClaroSpeak, and as you can see, if I type just one letter, so I'll type the letter R, not only do I have my built-in prediction list of 3 words, but I actually have a ton of words up at the top. So ClaroSpeak gives you a lot more to choose from there. And I'm just going to touch on just briefly the built-in accessibility features that are going to be found on all of your devices. Beyond the ones that I've shown you today, the one that I think is most worth mentioning is called Guided Access. And what Guided Access will do is it'll actually restrict the iPad and keep that student working in a specific app so that they can't close out and maybe go play around on YouTube or whatever. It'll lock them into an app, and you can do things like set time restrictions as well as block out the settings menu. So let me show you an example. Let's say that you wanted a student to only be using their ClaroSpeak app. What I could do is turn Guided Access on, and this is what Guided Access looks like. And what I could do is, if I didn't want them to get into the settings, I could just draw a circle around the settings windows, and now that is touch restricted, so the student couldn't get into the settings. The other thing I can do is, if I hit start, now Guided Access is started, and if I click the home button, or if I try to swipe to get out of this app, it's not going to let me do it. I'd have to actually go in and put in my password for it to exit out of Guided Access and let me start using the iPad normally again. So here are some tools for early reading and writing. Most of these resources focus on books that are interactive or talking in one way or the other. I'll show you a quick slideshow of those services.
Welcome to Storyline Online, brought to you by the SAG-AFTRA Foundation. I'm Sarah Silverman, and today I'm going to read A Tale of Two Beasts, written and illustrated by Fiona Robertson. I was walking home from Grandma's house through the deep, dark...
Epic is an award-winning digital library for kids 12 and under. Once on Epic, your child will unlock a world of reading, learning, and discovery, getting instant, unlimited access to more than 35,000 high-quality books, videos, and so much more. Kids on Epic get to explore their interests in a safe, kid-friendly environment with no ads or in-app purchases.
Welcome to the Tumblebook Library Virtual Tour. Tumblebook Library is an online library of animated, talking picture books. Tumblebooks are presented in an innovative and exciting format which help kids learn to read, build vocabulary, and have fun at the same time. Are you ready to check it out?
Tar Heel Reader is an online open-source library of free, easy-to-read, accessible books on a wide range of topics.
This is the story of the Three Little Pigs. Once upon a time, there were 3 little pigs who lived with their mother at home. She was very poor and had not enough to keep them, so she sent them out to seek their fortune.
Meet Libby, the new app to let you discover and instantly enjoy thousands of ebooks and audiobooks from your library. Yes, your public library. One tap to find a library near you. One tap to discover something new. One tap to read or listen to that book you won't be able to put down. One tap to a shelf that has everything you've borrowed and all the books you want to read. One tap to finding your next great read at any library you belong to. It's so easy. All you need to get started is a library card.
So that was a great grouping of free resources for mainly young readers. For readers that are older, you can check out these resources on this slide. The groupings on the left there are downloadable ebooks from free sources like archive.org, Project Gutenberg, even Google has a lot of free books. The grouping on the right shows resources for those students that qualify under having a print disability. You can get specialized material from those sources. The link at the bottom shows a comprehensive listing of software available to actually read these types of electronic materials out loud to the students. So just a couple free resources to mention before we wrap up. If you have a student or a child who has an IEP, they can qualify to get a free laptop or desktop computer. If you want more resources and information on assistive technology, check out these Padlets that we put together that has really quick, digestible information. You can borrow our equipment for free for 30 days to try it out, and we have a lot of cool stuff in our lending library like iPads, bigger keyboards that are easier to type on, as well as these scanning pens that are an all-in-one solution where you can scan text and then the pen will read that text aloud to the student. My Study Bar is a free download that has a lot of the tools that I talked about bundled in it already. And then there's an assistive technology group out of Scotland that publishes really great one-page posters and leaflets on assistive technology that are worth checking out. Thanks a lot. This has been Dan Dyer from Idaho SESTA. Please contact me if you need to, or visit one of our websites for more information.